fallout, smoke, women crying for their sons because their sons are not, Romans killing riotous groups that are rising up. Free Judea, free our people, autonomy for Israel. You had Herod, an Edomite, and his dynasty. Herod's ruling, killing any potential threat, any potential Messiah. Then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, that we learn from Josephus are not Jews by birth. No.
Brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So from my grandmother.
Right. Now look at these. Yeah, I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JBZion. Y'all show me some love, show me some love. You already know what time it is. Well, we bringing that. Your boy about to hit y'all with another banger. All praises, honor, glory, splendor, majesty, dominion, world without end, to the mighty one of Jacob, the holy one of Israel, even the God of our forefathers. And first I want to say peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen race of the Most High Yah, even my Israelite brothers, sisters, the 12 tribes scattered to the four corners of the earth. I could not do this without y'all. We could not do this work without y'all's love, y'all's support, y'all's donations, y'all prophecy, but not just y'all. I also want to extend peace, love, blessings to the full, to the overflow, to all of our Gentile supporters, our Gentile family. Not the ones that's trolling. Those that ain't lost with a shovel digging in the cemetery grave school.
To be able to learn absolutely diddly squat.
School of these urban apologists. Those that ain't lost in the sauce. Those that supporting the resurrection of the greatest nation to ever live on this earth. I just want to thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts. We could not do this. Let's go without y'all. And y'all, your boy about to go in on these things. But first, I just got to say a couple of things. Now, y'all was loving that last video about the chariots, and I was too. And I gotta tell y'all, there are so much scriptures and other stuff that I had written down that it's a lot when you get into the chariots and these UFO quote unquote and all that stuff, y'all. So if y'all like this video up and share it to everybody y'all know, I'm gonna be watching. Depending on how this does, I'm gonna do that follow-up. I already have all the notes and all that good stuff to be able to do these things. So y'all like this up, you share this, and we're about to go on into it. So, and also, if at the end of that live stream, I put my phone down and my son Eli grabbed it, so I think he removed a couple of commenters, people that were on the live stream. That was not me, y'all. So if you saw something said Zion Dynasty removed such and such, that was not me. I love y'all, fam. That was my boy got the phone and just started clicking stuff. So, y'all, we are about to go into it, and this is a fresh reset. This is where we're gonna start a brand new series, y'all, where we go into a lot of things. This is our Kingdom of Israel, the Black Revolution series, where we're gonna go into everything that has to do with the gospel of the kingdom. Israel's stance, is it just for Israel? Is other nations gonna be in it? When we deal with the Gentiles, are they gonna be slaves in the kingdom? Are they gonna be put to death? What's gonna happen to all the other nations? Are nations gonna exist while Israel is ruling? Is the gospel of the kingdom, are we going to heaven, or is this a city on earth? Y'all, we finna go into some heavy stuff. And I'm also gonna put the chariots in there because this is the host of the Most High. We talked about Yahuwah Sabaoth. We talked about the mighty one that is the God of angel armies. This is the Most High Yah. And all his angelic hosts, that the dark side of the moon, these different unidentified flying objects that Esau's seeing, that intervene at strategic times, y'all gotta understand, to make sure that the Most High Yah's will is being done. You see this in every war that Israel fought, that the chariots was behind the scene making sure this go according to plan. Now that's some heavy stuff, y'all. So I'm gonna review a little bit of these things, and then we're gonna go into the first part. Let's go. Yoruba B'nai Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph, the first part of our Kingdom for Israel series. But first we're gonna do a little review. So you guys, we wrapped up our Kingdom of Esau, or the Esau-Edom series, where we linked Edom, that last end of the world empire. We linked them to modern Europeans, America being the very daughter of Babylon, those 10 toes of the statue of Daniel. We talked about it. We talked about how America would be that north country that the Most High would deliver his people from Babylon and return us back to the land of our forefathers. We spoke about how they rule this world in this capitalistic, critical race theory based driven society, and all of this comes from Esau, comes from Roma, the ancient Roman people, the offshoots, the extensions of Rome, and the European power construct is what is ruling today. Now we saw in 2nd Esdras, the hidden apocryphal book, chapter 6 verse 9, that for Esau is the end of the world. I repeat, Esau is the end of the world. We beat that in the head, y'all. We also went into the beast of Daniel, right? The 4 beasts of Daniel chapter 7. That the lion that had eagle's wings, right? The bear that had the ribs in his mouth. The leopard that had, I believe, multiple heads. And then that 4th beast that Daniel is not given an animal representation of who these people are, right? This was not given until the prophet Ezra comes on the scene. And Ezra says that the animal that thy brother Daniel saw was actually an eagle. We went to Revelation 13 that said that this dreadful beast would come up out of the sea. Then we precept that back to 2nd Esdras, that where Ezra said he saw the eagle come out of the sea. So all of these are puzzle pieces that when put together, we have a microscope to be able to find that hidden people that have hidden themselves. Babylon the Great. This is
Oh, well, Esau does not exist anymore. We know they're supposed to be destroyed, but that's been fulfilled already.
all of that nonsense. We proved, we lifted up the skirt of Babylon and discovered her secret parts, that America and the NATO and these European nations have conspired. They are confederate together, Psalms 83, to keep our people oppressed and to keep their era, their age, their rulership going on forever. Now that's some deep stuff, y'all. But we saw that this Esau is the end, Jacob is the beginning. This world clash is where we go into the etymology of the word world. I repeat, and let me explain that. When we talk about world, we're talking about government. We're talking about rulership, right? Even when you hear the concept of the kingdom that we're about to go into, when you heard Yeshua say, the kingdom of heaven is at hand, this was talking about a people ruling. This was Yeshua said that the kingdom for our people. Right? When you hear Black Lives Matter, we're going to overcome, right? We're going to get to the promised land. That this had to do with a people coming to power. So when you go to John 3:16, y'all got to hear me, where it says, for God so loved the world, for Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. You have to know the cultural nuance. You have to know the etymology of the word world. That world is talking about the world of Israel, the world without end, the people that would always come on top. That even when the Gentiles would rule in a season, it was prophesied that our people would be restored, returned back to our home base, even the land of Israel, and that we would rule the nations, right? We see this in Isaiah 45 verse 17 that says, for Israel will be saved with an everlasting salvation. world without end. And now, y'all, now that we done talked about World War III, we done talked about Russia, the war of Gog and Magog, Armageddon. We done talked about NATO, the 10 toes of Daniel's statue, the daughter of Babylon, that north country, the United States of America, that would hold the remnant, the residue of y'all's people under her feet, in her possession. She would cloak herself with those 12 feathers to hide from the judgment of the Most High. We talked about all that. Y'all gotta check these videos out. Your boy, the Most High, been going in with these things, y'all. But now we gonna talk about that when all these things are said and done. When the Most High Yah executes judgment on the nations. When he remembers Emmett Till not being able to be recognized by his mama. Y'all don't want to talk to me. When he remembers the alligator bait. When he remembers the lynchings. When he remembers all the segregation and desegregation and the colored only water fountains. When the Most High remembers and our people remember ourselves in the land of our captivity. And he executes judgment. We got next. Let's go. The children of Israel, the 12 tribes, we got next, and we're about to go into the kingdom, our beloved kingdom, the kingdom that Yeshua said, pray that thy kingdom come and thy will be done. And I'm gonna go ahead and talk about that, y'all. It's some Christian trolls on here, and it's also some sincere family members that are really just trying to understand. So you saying, JB, that we're not just supposed to be, we're praying and go to heaven, and aren't we supposed to just go to heaven, and when we accept Jesus that allows us to go? Y'all, a lot of this stuff is the European interpretation of the Judean scriptures. This is not the cultural context in which Yeshua, the apostles, Paul, and all the prophets spoke. They spoke of a day where our people would be regathered from all the countries that we were scattered to. We know we were scattered. Deuteronomy 28 talks about how we would be scattered to all the countries of the earth from one end to another, and that we will be in the land of the north. And all these countries of our captivity because of the disobedience of our forefathers. Now, we talked about in that 400-year prophecy video, y'all check that out, where the 400-year prophecy in Genesis 15 was not talking about Egypt, but that Abraham saw a vision of his descendants being in a cruel captivity and suffering bondage and oppression for 400 years. We proved that Josephus already killed the idea that Israel was oppressed for 400 years in Egypt. So Abraham prophesied that his seed would be oppressed for 400 years, and after that, the Most High would judge those nations. Our people would leave with great possession and return to the land that he first gave to Abraham. This is the gospel, family. This is the gospel in its most earliest form before all this other Christianity and stuff. The gospel was our people getting back to that land. We have just been lifted. I repeat, our people, let's go, have been lifted from the curses of our father, the curses of our God that had to take his belt out and said, y'all want to be like the other nations. You want to be Hellenists, like in the time of the Maccabees. Y'all want to be like the Greeks and these white folks, and you want to whoop de whoop and do all this stuff. I'm going to let you serve their gods. I'm going to let them oppress you. I'm going to let you be under them for a season. And when your heart comes back to your father, when you turn back to Yah like the prodigal son, if my people who are called by my name, when we humble ourselves and say, Yah, I beg, we have sinned. Remember your people. Remember the apple of your eye. Remember your firstborn, your dearly beloved, your fervent lover. Don't leave us, Daddy, like this always. Don't leave us getting shot on the street unarmed. Don't leave us suffering from incarceration rates and poor socioeconomic status and health decrements. Don't leave us like this, Father. Remember Abraham. Remember the promise that you made. Remember the work that you laid when you parted the Red Sea, when you opened up the waters and your heritage walked on dry land. Remember the nations and swallow them up in thy fury, but don't leave your people like this. When we come back to the Most High, y'all gotta hear me. We are in that season, y'all. The curses have been lifted. This judgment, the Most High got his bow and arrow. He got his snipers on the roof about to take out all these Gentiles for what they have done. And he's going to use us in the age to come. Now we're going to go through some precepts, y'all. Now, y'all got to check out all these other videos. But I'm going to show you scripturally, and we talked about these scriptures, where the Most High is going to regather his people. This was the gospel. This is what Yeshua preached, that he will take all these E1B1A transatlantic descendants that come from the Igbo and the Yoruba and the Ashanti and the Akan and the West African tribes of Israel. All of these diaspora, the Most High would regather those lost sheep, restore us, get us back to the land. That was the gospel of the kingdom. And he would judge all the nations that try to get in our way, right? So first we're going to remember Joel chapter 3. And it's crazy, y'all, because we talked about Joel chapter 3, and I'm just going to mention it. I might put it on the screen. But in Joel chapter 3, we see the Most High, he angry, y'all. He relentless. He said, "Oh, Tyre and Zidon, what y'all thought y'all was doing, right? What did you think you was doing this to my people?" And they like, "Well, I mean, we just was doing what we thought was the." And the Most High said, "Now what am I going to give y'all for what y'all did?" Now, before I even say that, he said, "Now what are y'all going to give me because what y'all did?" And it's crazy because it's a lot of wordplay in Joel chapter 3. First, the Most High says, "Oh, Tyre and Zidon, what are you going to reward me? How are you going to pay me back?" And then the Most High switches it and says, "Whatever you try to give me for what you did to my people, I'm going to recompense or give you that back on top of your head." That means I'm going to retribute or reward you for all the evil that you've done to Zion. I'm going to judge you for that thing because you've led the children of Judah, the children of Jerusalem into captivity by selling them in the hands of the white man, of the Grecians, right? The Most High is not playing, y'all. The Bible says that even our unbelief, now y'all check this out now, shall our unbelief disannual or do away with the belief of Yah. Even if Israelites
Say, well, now, I ain't standing with that. I'm an Israelite.
The Most High don't need your approval. He is angry for what the nations have done to his people, and he gonna judge them. Everything we went through, y'all, he is gonna retribute it. Now, I know a lot of y'all like, well, there's no hope for the Gentiles. What if I'm a Gentile? This is my thing. Well, to all my Gentiles, y'all need to humble down, come under Israel, turn to our teaching and our leadership and that kind of thing, and just cleave to Jacob. Support this work, support Yah's people. And these nations that have done these things, their only hope is to give reparations. I'm telling you now, I'm just gonna keep it straight. To give all that money that you done made off of the agricultural revolution, off the industrial revolution, all of these things that set the stage for America and NATO and the European countries to be the superpowers that they are. That would not have existed without the millions of our people, the children of Yah, picking this cotton, doing this work, building the White House, creating street lights, coming up with God knows how many inventions that allowed America to be the land of the free and the home of the brave. All of that stuff was through our people. So your only hope is to give reparations to these people, and I'm talking about in the trillions. Clear off dead all that foolishness and get them all the wealth that you got and send them back to their land, clear that thing out, and then you might obtain mercy. This is nothing new. This whole idea of reparations is biblical. A lot of these urban apologist junkies, they think that, well, Israel doesn't matter no more. You're teaching skin doctrine. First of all, it's not melanation. It's a chosen nation. It's not about, somebody can be black, but the grandfather is Esau. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a specific lineage that is not done away with. So it ain't no, oh, y'all just talking, so if I'm black, I'm chosen. Not necessarily. We're talking about if you descend from Israel, if you descend from these West African Israelite tribes like the Yoruba and the Igbo, and we done so many videos on that you are an Israelite. Well, that doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so what, you're Israel? Neither Jew nor Gentile. And y'all, we didn't talk about that Gentile misconception and deception. That the Gentiles were actually the Hellenized, scattered Israelites that adopted, right, the customs, the way of life of all the nations that they were scattered to. Let's look at John in the book of John, chapter 7, verse 35. The scripture says, where shall Christ go that we cannot find him? Shall he go to the dispersed Israelites that live among the Gentiles and teach these Gentiles? Whoa, JB. And it's so many precepts, y'all. I mean, I could have to do a whole nother video. But the point is that this whole neither Jew nor Gentile, you can't use that to do away with Israel. Okay, so y'all the chosen people and Christ came for y'all. You know, so that's it. That is it. And that's the gospel, right? And everybody that thinks that stuff doesn't matter, that's done away with, This was not what Christ taught. This is not the mission of the apostles. This was not the mission of Paul. So we're just doing that kingdom work on this channel. Let's go. So in Joel chapter 3, the Most High says, I'm going to repay y'all for what you did to my people. Now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 30, where we read how the Most High and the gospel was to get our people restored, get us from all these nations that we were scattered to, and return us back to the land, world without end. So in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1, we talked about how it says, and it shall come to pass when all these things that are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before you, and you shall remember them in all these nations whither I have driven you. The Most High said, I'm going to cause your eyes to be open. I'm going to allow you to be woke. And all these nations that I scattered you to, I'm going to have this message, this sound going forth. That's, you're going to be like, that's why we're going through what we're going through. That's why black people are suffering. That's why we get shot and these folks find themselves not guilty. We descend from the Israelites. When that happens, and I done already brought the blessing and the curse upon you, and you remember yourselves in the lands that I scattered you to, verse 2, and shall return unto the Most High Yah thy Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, you and your children, with all your heart, with all your soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity. The Most High says, I will lead captivity captive. We saw this in Psalm 68. What is it saying? He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. The Most High would deliver our people if we turn back to him, y'all. We turn back to Torah. We stop eating sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits in the faith of Yeshua. Living the way Yeshua lived, which was the law, statutes, and commandments. When we turn back to our heritage and be proud of who we are as Israelites, when you do that, now let's read it. That then the Most High Yah will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon you, and return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Most High Yah has scattered thee. And verse 4 says, and if any of your seed, if any of thine, be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, that means everywhere where your seed at, everywhere the transatlantic stopped off, from there where the Most High Yah thy Elohim gathered thee like a faithful shepherd. And from there will he fetch you. He said, go get my people. He gonna send them chariots like how we talked about. And I'm gonna do a part 2. Y'all like this up. He said, go send them chariots. Go send them angels. Find my people. Find the diaspora of Israel. Every country that they're in. Let's keep reading. And the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and you will possess that thing. That's it. And he will do you good and multiply you above thy fathers. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yah. So we see in Deuteronomy 30 the full spectrum of the gospel. That if we remembered ourselves in the land of our captivity, turn back to our Yah, turn back to Torah, turn back to the heritage of our forefathers in the faith of Yeshua and the example that he showed us. If we turn back to knowing we Israel in the land of our captivity, turning back to that lifestyle, that the Most High would remember us, and he would send his spirit to regather us in every country that we're at and take us back to the land. This is the gospel, my friends. This is the gospel of the kingdom. So next, family, we're gonna look at Jeremiah chapter 31. Now, we have gone through this a lot of times in Jeremiah 31, but there's so much weight in Jeremiah that slices and dices all of these urban apologists that try to say that us being Israel and going back to the land is not the gospel, and we're about to deal with it. So in Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 31, it says, behold, the days come, saith the Most High Yah, that I will make a new covenant with who? The house of Israel and the house of Judah. Let's go. And I showed y'all that in the Sefer Bible, it doesn't even call it a old and a new covenant. It says a old and a renewed covenant. The Most High is like that husband that said that, okay, I'm separating from y'all. But he never divorced his people utterly. He didn't finalize the documentation spiritually where he turned away from Israel and went to everybody else. That never happened. But what he said was he would make a new covenant. He said, I know y'all flute. I know y'all were like the prostitute that I told Hosea to marry. Y'all went out and did your own thing. You have me as a faithful husband in tears and hurt by what you did. But even with all that, I love you with an everlasting love. There is nothing you can do, Zion, that makes the Most High, that makes our Father stop loving his people, stop loving his children. He said, I got a relentless love. I got a love that I want y'all to exemplify one towards another. That no matter what you do, I'm always going to be faithful to my bride. I'm always going to be there. I'm going to be there bending knee right there saying, I'm here, honey. I ain't going nowhere. All right. So the Most High is saying that I'm going to make a new covenant with Israel. Even though y'all flute, I'm going to show the nations that I ain't never going to give up on this people. Y'all better hear me. And in verse 35, we see something powerful. It says, thus saith the Most High Yah, who gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Most High Yah of the hosts, Sabaoth Yah, is his name. Verse 36, if these ordinances, if those that I just told you about the sun and the moon, if that stops, if the sun stops coming up, if the moon stops shining at night, if the stars cease to exist, if the waves don't roar in the strength thereof, saith the Most High Yah, then and only then will the seed of Israel also cease from being a nation before me. Because a lot of y'all urban apologists, I know y'all, I see you, baby, I see you. A lot of y'all are saying,
We're not saying that Israel is done away with. We're just saying that, well, that doesn't matter in terms of y'all getting to the land and being a kingdom and world without end.
That doesn't matter no more, Negro.
to all y'all, what did that verse just say? It said if the sun stops, if the moon stops, if the stars stop, if the waves stop, then will Israel cease to be a nation. So that means Israel will never stop being a nation. And I said a nation. So right now, if we in captivity and most Israelites don't know who they are, so we ain't unified and we ain't in our land, then the work of the Most High Yah has not been done yet. The kingdom has not come. The kingdom is not here until Israel is united, restored to who we are. And that's the work we're doing on this channel, y'all. To raise up the 12 tribes, unify us stop beefing over the most simple stuff. And y'all know how I feel about that stuff. Us arguing for no reason. Us as a people coming together as Israel and getting back to that land. The Most High says every time you see the sun during the day, and y'all need to think about that. When you driving on the road, when you see that sun, just know the Most High said, I swore by that I'm going to get you back to that land. That I'm going to unify my covenant. I'm telling y'all now. So the reason I go through that is to utterly prove that the gospel of the kingdom is Israel being regathered, our people that were scattered through slavery, coming back to our identity, our heritage, and going back to that land. And it's going to be on sight to any nation that tries to fight with the Most High. The Most High going to beatbox them nations. He going to be like, swing, swing, swing to any nation that on our way back to our land try to say, oh, you can't let them niggers out of captivity. Anybody that try to think like that, the Most High got shooters on the roof. We already went through that. So next, family, we're gonna go to Acts, because a lot of y'all like, well, that's the old covenant. We're gonna go to the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 6, and it reads, when they therefore were come together, this is the apostles coming together upon Yeshua's resurrection. They asked of him, they asked Yeshua and said, Lord, will you at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And Yeshua told them, he said unto them, it's not for you to know. Now y'all look at this now. The times or the seasons which the Father alone has put in his power. Now this shows y'all that whole Trinity doctrine is swing swing. Yeshua knew his role. Yeshua said it's not for you to even know that kind of stuff, that only the Father has put in his power. But what I want to look at is verse 6, because you see Yeshua didn't come against what Peter said. Peter said, Lord, are you going to restore the kingdom back to us? Kill all these Edomite Romans for what they did, and the ones that you choose to leave, put them in chains? Are you going to do that, Father? Are you going to judge all these European NATO nations and America for what they've done to the so-called black man, shooting us on the street like cattle? Are you going to restore us, restore the kingdom? Yeshua said it ain't for you to know that yet. The reason I go to this chapter is to show you that Peter knew what the gospel was. The gospel was Israel and these lost sheep that had been Hellenized, not just the Judeans that kept the Torah, but also them Hellenized, Hellenist, Gentile Israelites. I know it. I need y'all to get that, understand that. Because Paul himself, a lot of y'all say, well, Paul, you know, he was an Israelite. We know he was an Israelite. He knew he was an Israelite, but he was in Gentile countries. He was in Tarsus, which was a province of Rome. He was a Roman-born citizen. Paul himself, it's like an African so-called America. Two continents slapped together. But this is a Gentile byword. If I call myself an American, I ethnically speaking am an Israelite of the tribe of Ephraim, the son of Joseph. But I'm an American citizen at the same time. This was going on during the time of Yeshua. You had Israelites that lived in Rome and in Greece and Western Asia, and they kept the customs of these countries. But the gospel was us being withdrawn from all those countries, coming back to who we are, and going back to the land of Israel. So you see Peter right here saying, Father, Yeshua, when are you going to unite us, restore the kingdom back unto Israel? Let's go to the next precept. So in Deuteronomy, I'm going to show y'all something. I'm going to go ahead and show you that the kingdom of heaven is talking about Israel in rulership, our people being on top and being taken back to our land. So in Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 21, it reads that your days may be multiplied. This is Moshe. This is Moses talking. That your days may be multiplied and the days of your children in the land which the Lord, even Yahuwah, even Yahweh, even Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya, the Lord swear unto your fathers to give them that land as the days of heaven upon earth. I repeat, as the days, let's go, of heaven on earth is the Most High Yah taking us back to that land. So when you hear Yeshua say the kingdom of heaven is at hand, he's talking about the days where our people are in that land and are free. Understand, during the time of Yeshua, the Judean people were in the land but were under white supremacy. They were under the Roman Edomite occupation of the Caesarian or the Caesar dynasty. The Europeans had full control over everything the Israelites was doing. They were like the angel that guarded the Garden of Eden. And we talked about that spirit, where Satan has a people that seek to keep Zion from freely and perfectly getting in that land and remaining in that land. Because we see that the Romans in 70 AD destroyed the temple, destroyed Judeans. They fled into Africa, according to Josephus and Dr. Windsor, and the rest of them were led captive. And even our other brothers and sisters that was in West Africa, the white man came back around, took our black behinds, and took us to the four corners of the earth, fulfilling Deuteronomy 28. So we see in Deuteronomy 11:21 that our days would be multiplied, we will return back to that land, and this would be heaven on earth. Yeshua never told us, y'all gotta hear me, Christ never told you to pray to go to heaven. He never told you to pray that I go up there with the Most High, hang out with the angels. That ain't biblical. Yeshua in his prayer, in the Lord's Prayer, said, pray what? That thy kingdom come and that thy will be done where? On this earth. White folks told us in slavery not to be concerned with that. They told us, well, just pray that you go up yonder in the by and by in the deep blue sky. That ain't biblical. Y'all better talk to me. The gospel was us being restored to our land on this earth and being the ambassadors of the true and the living creator, Allah Hayam, and to represent him in rulership to all the nations in our land, y'all. I gotta tell y'all gotta get this in your spirit. So we're gonna go to Matthew, because a lot of y'all think I'm playing. We're going to Matthew itself, and we're gonna look at the Lord's Prayer. So in Matthew chapter 6, verse 9, this is Yeshua, the red letter man. He says, after this manner should you pray, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. What? Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in the earth as it is in heaven. The Most High, you gotta ask yourself, if it was meant for us to be in heaven from the beginning, why did the Most High make Adam and Eve? I'm gonna drop that nugget on y'all. Why would he even make them? He could have just made them in heaven. He made them on earth from the beginning of time, so that man, his chosen creation, in his image, would subdue the earth after the likeness of the Most High, who is in the heaven of heavens. Y'all understand? The purpose of Israel is to rule this earth in Torah, in the righteousness of the Creator Yah, the high and the lofty one. We are meant as his daughters and his sons to show forth his image in the earth, to show them what the invisible God looks like. This is why Yeshua is the epitome of all these things, because Yeshua was the image of the invisible God to show Israel, by redeeming them first, what their purpose is. Our purpose, y'all, is to be better than all these other countries and what they have done to us. The Most High gonna judge them. Our purpose is to love each other after one family, to rule this earth like Big Mama, where if Big Mama had Kool-Aid and Aunt Sally had sugar, the whole village had a glass. Our job is to show the nations the righteous example of Torah and the Most High Yah. All praises. So Christ said, pray that the kingdom come and his will be done on earth. I repeat, we ain't trying to go up in the sky. We're trying to right here in this earth, possess this earth, go back to our land and rule the earth in righteousness. All praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yah. So next, family, we're gonna go to where Christ got the Lord's Prayer from. Now before I do that, let me go to the end of the Lord's Prayer and show you something. I'm gonna show y'all a nugget that you may or may not have seen. So in Matthew chapter 6, let's stay in that chapter and let's go down to the end of the Lord's Prayer. So in Matthew chapter 6, verse 13, it says, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. All praises be to the Most High Yah. So right here we see Yeshua. Pray that thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Y'all know the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of all our debts as we forgive those that are debtors unto us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. That means, Lord, keep us. Father, guide us. Let your spirit lead us in everything that we do. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Why am I going to that? Because I'm going to show you where Yeshua got that prayer from. Oh, yeah. We're going to go to 1 Chronicles. And 1 Chronicles chapter 29, verse 9, it reads, then the people rejoiced, for that they offered willingly. You had Israelites giving everything they had to the work of the kingdom. You had Israelites giving things that they had to be able to build the temple that David sought to build for the Most High Yah. Now we see David did not accomplish the task, Solomon did. But the people were given for the building of the temple. Because with perfect heart they offered willingly to the Most High Yah. And David the king also rejoiced with great joy. Now this is the verse I want to hit, y'all. That's verse number 10. Wherefore David blessed the Most High Yah before all the congregation. Now I love this, y'all. It's a lot in that. First, the congregation. So when you hear about church congregations, the first time you see the word congregation was when Israel congregated together. Even the word church itself, I'm gonna drop a nugget. In Acts 7, Stephen says that when you were with the church in the wilderness. Wait, who was y'all with in the wilderness? What people went through the wilderness? Israel. The church, or the ecclesia, is the called out body of God himself. What does that mean? The body of Christ, or the body of the Most High Yah, is his people. This is a physical, tangible body, a physical lineage, a physical bloodline, right? This is the church according to the scriptures, the children of Israel, the congregation of the Most High Yah. So in this verse, we see David blessed the congregation. He blessed the church, and I'm talking about Israel. And he says, and David said, blessed be you, O Yah Elohim, the mighty one of Jacob, the holy one of Israel, our forefather. Talking about Israel. Forever and ever. Verse 11. For thine, O Yah, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heaven and in all the earth is yours. Thine is the kingdom, O Lord, and thou art exalted as head above it all. All praises be to the Most High Yah. So David gives this benediction. David gives this prayer before all of Israel. This was a rallying cry for Israel to come together, and when they were building the temple, to show the nations that there is none like the Most High Yah, the God of Israel, our forefather. All of this historically, y'all, had to do with Israel. That's why I tell y'all, the Bible is our history book. The Bible belongs to the so-called black man. It's the records, the genealogy, the history, the wars, the prophecies of our people, to show us what it's going to be, to show us what it was, and to show us who we are right now. All praises be to the Most High Yah. So y'all, I got so many precepts. The next one we going to is in Revelation chapter 21. And this is going to end all these Christians. This is going to show y'all that the kingdom is for Israel. The kingdom and the gospel of the kingdom is us getting back to that land. The kingdom is the Most High fighting all these nations that try to come against us. The kingdom was Israel being restored in all the nations that they were scattered to and turned back to the land that he promised to Abraham. So in Revelation chapter 21, we see in verse 12 that it says, oh, let's go back to verse 11. Having the glory of the Most High Yah, and her light was like unto a stone most precious. Now this is describing the holy Jerusalem, the new city of Zion, when the Most High restores his people. And this holy city had a light that was like a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. Verse 12, this is what I want to hit you guys. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written on each gate, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. All praises be to the Most High Yah. Y'all gotta hear what the word is saying. That in the kingdom, it's gonna be 12 gates. 12 gates guarded by 12 angels, and on each gate, it got the names of the 12 tribes of Israel from each tribe. Why do I bring that up? You don't see no gate for no other people. Let's go. So when everybody talk about, oh, I want to walk through them pearly gates, when you hear a big mama say, oh, that I might go through them gates and be a part of that number. First of all, the number they talking about is the 144. That it's not talking about all of Israel, but just the chief leaders of Israel. But even then, when they say, oh, we're going to walk through the pearly gates, all of this, the number, the going through those pearly gates were for Israel. There's only 12 gates. It ain't 13 tribes. It's 12 gates for the children of Israel to have access to the fellowship of their God, their Father. Now, I go through all of this, family, to show y'all that the gospel is for Israel. The kingdom had to do with Israel. Not us, not all of humanity going to heaven, but Israel manifesting Yah's will in the earth by being restored in all the nations that we were scattered to and going back to the land. All praises. So next, y'all, I got some more scriptures. In 2 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 15, it says, and the king, talking about Solomon, made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stone. Why do I bring that up? A lot of y'all like, okay. It shows you that during the time of the kingdom, Solomon and the children of Israel had so much riches, had so much gold and silver, that it was as plenteous as stones on the ground. Why is that significant? Because we read in Revelation how there would be streets paved with gold. This is a metaphorical context that is alluding to a cultural nuance. What do I mean? This is metaphor for that Israel, when we get back to that land, the Most High is going to take all the wealth of the wicked and give it to the just, for the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek of God's people. This is talking about Israel getting all them reparations. This stuff is biblical. All the wealth of all these nations, they're going to be forced to give it to us. They're going to be forced to give us these things. The nations already know what time it is, y'all. They know that they're going to be forced to give us all the wealth, and all of that our people are going to have, to the point that gold going to be on the streets like rocks. Let's go. This is the gospel, y'all. So with that, y'all, this is a series. I'm just giving y'all a taste. because in the next couple of videos, I'm going to show you the role of all these other Gentiles and show you what they're going to be doing in this time period. Now, it's a lot, you guys. And I'm also going to do that chariot follow-up. Y'all like this video up and share it to everybody you know. We're dealing with the kingdom of Israel. This is what the nations fear, y'all. They fear that in the end, we win. Let's go. That we're going to be a world without end. That the Most High is going to raise us up above all people groups that be on earth. And this is for us to be an example, y'all. Not to walk around and say, well, aren't you going to slice and dice these other nations? It's for us to be an example. Now, the Most High is going to execute judgment on anybody that get in his way. Understand, he got shooters, like I done told y'all. But the role of this is for us to show Torah through our heritage, through our lifestyle, the righteousness of our God. So with that, y'all, I hope you loving this. We finna go into this thing big time. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, y'all post that down below. Also, if you want to support this work, continue to support this ministry, I'm gonna put that Cash App on the screen, and I'm trying to go back and put it at the beginning. I forgot. But y'all, I love y'all. I couldn't do this without y'all. Me and Shawnee D, we are always eternally grateful to y'all. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the greatest family anybody could ask for. I speak life. I speak blessings. I speak courage. That nobody's able to deter you or have you to feel some type of way. That you're proud of your heritage. You're proud that you're an Israelite, right? Because we got next, y'all. We got next. So with that, y'all, peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen race of the Most High. I love y'all with the love of the Messiah. Peace and blessings. Shalom. All praises be to the Most High.